Episode 34. I wish to speak to you, and I want your fullest attention. Snape's black eyes roved over their upturned faces, lingering for a fraction of a second longer on Harry's than anyone else's. You have had 5 teachers in this subject so far, I believe. You believe? Like you haven't watched them all come and go, Snape, hoping you'd be next, thought Harry scathingly. Naturally, these teachers will all have had their own methods and priorities. Given this confusion, I am surprised so many of you scraped an owl in this subject. I shall be even more surprised if all of you manage to keep up with the newt work, which will be much more advanced. Snape set off around the edge of the room, speaking now in a lower voice. The class craned their necks to keep him in view. The dark arts, said Snape, are many, varied, ever-changing and eternal. Fighting them is like fighting a many-headed monster, which each time a neck is severed sprouts a head even fiercer and cleverer than before. You are fighting that which is unfixed, mutating, indestructible. Harry stared at Snape. It was surely one thing to respect the dark arts as a dangerous enemy, another to speak of them as Snape was doing, with a loving caress in his voice. Your defenses, said Snape a little louder, must therefore be as flexible and inventive as the arts you seek to undo. These pictures, he indicated a few of them as he swept past, give a fair representation of what happens to those who suffer. For instance, the Cruciatus curse. He waved a hand toward a witch who was clearly shrieking in agony. Feel the Dementor's kiss. A wizard lying huddled and blank-eyed, slumped against a wall. Or provoke the aggression of the Inferius. A bloody mass upon the ground. Has an Inferius been seen then? Said Parvati Patil in a high-pitched voice. Is it definite? He is using them? The Dark Lord has used Inferi in the past, said Snape, which means you would be well advised to assume he might use them again. Now. He set off again around the other side of the classroom toward his desk, and again they watched him as he walked, his dark robes billowing behind him. You are, I believe, complete novices in the use of nonverbal spells. What is the advantage of a nonverbal spell? Hermione's hand shot into the air. Snape took his time looking around at everybody else, making sure he had no choice, before saying curtly, Very well. Miss Granger. Your adversary has no warning about what kind of magic you're about to perform, said Hermione, which gives you a split-second advantage. An answer, copied almost word for word from the Standard Book of Spells, grade 6, said Snape dismissively. Over in the corner, Malfoy snickered. But correct in essentials. Yes, those who progress to using magic without shouting incantations gain an element of surprise in their spellcasting. Not all wizards can do this, of course. It is a question of concentration and mind power, which some, his gaze lingered maliciously upon Harry once more, lack. Harry knew Snape was thinking of their disastrous occlumency lessons of the previous year. He refused to drop his gaze, but glowered at Snape until Snape looked away. You will now divide Snape went on, into pairs. One partner will attempt to jinx the other without speaking. The other will attempt to repel the jinx in equal silence. Carry on. Although Snape did not know it, Harry had taught at least half the class, everyone who had been a member of the DA, how to perform a shield charm the previous year. None of them had ever cast the charm without speaking, however. A reasonable amount of cheating ensued. Many people were merely whispering the incantation instead of saying it aloud. Typically, 10 minutes into the lesson, Hermione managed to repel Neville's muttered jelly-legs jinx without uttering a single word. A feat that would surely have earned her 20 points for Gryffindor from any reasonable teacher, thought Harry bitterly, but which Snape ignored. He swept between them as they practiced, looking as much like an overgrown bat as ever, lingering to watch Harry and Ron struggling with the task. Ron, who was supposed to be jinxing Harry, was purple in the face, his lips tightly compressed to save himself from the temptation of muttering the incantation. Harry had his wand raised, waiting on tenterhooks to repel a jinx that seemed unlikely ever to come. "Pathetic Weasley," said Snape after a while. "Here, let me show you." He turned his wand on Harry so fast that Harry reacted instinctively. All thought of nonverbal spells forgotten, he yelled, "Protego!" His shield charm was so strong, Snape was knocked off balance and hit a desk. The whole class had looked around and now watched as Snape righted himself, scowling. "Do you remember me telling you we are practicing non-verbal spells, Potter?" "Yes," said Harry stiffly. "Yes, sir." "There's no need to call me sir, Professor." The words had escaped him before he knew what he was saying. Several people gasped, including Hermione. Behind Snape, however, Ron, Dean, and Seamus grinned appreciatively. "Detention. Saturday night. My office," said Snape. "I do not take cheek from anyone, Potter. Not even the chosen one."
"That was brilliant, Harry,"
chortled Ron, once they were safely on their way to break a short while later. "You really shouldn't have said it," said Hermione, frowning at Ron. "What made you?" "Well, he tried to jinx me in case you didn't notice," fumed Harry. "I had enough of that during those occlumency lessons." "Why doesn't he use another guinea pig for a change? What's Dumbledore playing at anyway, letting him teach defense? Did you hear him talking about the dark arts? He loves them. All that unfixed, indestructible stuff." "Well," said Hermione, "I thought he sounded a bit like you." "Like me?" "Yes. When you were telling us what it's like to face Voldemort, you said it wasn't just memorizing a bunch of spells. You said it was just you and your brains and your guts. Well, wasn't that what Snape was saying? That it really comes down to being brave and quick thinking?" Harry was so disarmed that she had thought his words as well worth memorizing as the standard book of spells that he did not argue.
"Harry! Harry!"
Harry looked around. Jack Sloper, one of the beaters on last year's Gryffindor Quidditch team, was hurrying toward him, holding a roll of parchment.
"For you,"
panted Sloper.
"Listen, I heard you're the new captain. When are you holding trials?"
"I'm not sure yet," said Harry, thinking privately that Sloper would be very lucky to get back on the team. "I'll let you know."
"Oh, right. I was hoping it'd be this weekend."
But Harry was not listening. He had just recognized the thin, slanting writing on the parchment. Leaving Sloper in mid-sentence, he hurried away with Ron and Hermione, unrolling the parchment as he went. "Dear Harry, I would like to start our private lessons this Saturday. Kindly come along to my office at 8 p.m. I hope you are enjoying your first day back at school. Yours sincerely, Albus Dumbledore." P.S. I enjoy acid pops.